All right, I got some real fun template geek stuff this time. I've made another big breakthrough. So if you're interested in what I'm doing with the template, and I'll tell you specifically what I mean is that the monomyth template from antiquity, the man of 1,000 faces, a template identified by Joseph Campbell, a 17-step template that many stories are written on. And he actually found the template by reading stories repetitively until he noticed a pattern emerging, and then he created this template based on what those patterns from everywhere from Jewish works to Indian works to just from all over the world. There's many, many works that have some sort of similar pattern to them. And his template is based on his observation of that pattern. And this is it, that 17-step template and what he calls it. However, what I'm realizing is that this is something deeper. That this template is actually not what is the bottom line. Okay, and I found and discovered something that is very interesting in here. I find a piece missing out of here. It doesn't show up very often in antiquity, but it's incredibly important. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the channel. Let me talk about that. Yeah, I'm going to try to do this video without trying to continually talk, mentally talk about where I get where I am. I'm just going to go where I need to go, I think. So the hero's journey template we've identified actually as a psychological self-healing path that is carried in analogous terms. You take that healing path that, not very many people are going to do it. You're going to have to turn inward, which is crossing the threshold. The reason you're doing it is because you've got cyclical failures happening in life that you're just tired of. All of these become story elements, and we see repetitive problems happening, passing through clashing rocks or the Red Sea, leaving the past behind. We see these elements continue to emerge. And what becomes evident at some point is that whoever is on the hero's journey is the called person. That as you take that path, Jason and the Argonauts, for example, if you don't use that as a healing path, it's an adventure. It's fun. Oh yeah, let's check it out. It's wonderful. However, if you realize something's nested in there, you become Jason. You turn it inward, and going and getting your kingdom back. King Pelias is your earlier self. This is who takes over at first and can't kill you because of... The whole thing plays out in the psyche, but it's done in a wonderful, rich, outward-looking way in a storytelling culture. And there's a variety of ways to package that. The hero's journey is when you decide, yeah, I hurt. My life is horrific, but I realize that it's something that I'm carrying. That's when it becomes very rare to do. The selection process is made, and the hero's journey begins. Even as recently as Luke Skywalker, we see him being called, and he's like, I can't. My Uncle Owen won't let me leave. I got to stay here and work. Then something happens, they get killed, and then he's able to go. But you see that the elements are there. Please come. Oh, I can't. The call, the refusal of the call. Those story elements are being put in the most wonderful way. And if you don't know that they're there conceptually, you just look at it and think that's a wonderful story. We connect with it, though, sometimes in a visceral level without even consciously being aware of them. There's a part that is not identified in the hero's journey. And you know what that is? Creation. That's why it's not identified. It doesn't happen very often. But creation is not the creation of the universe. The creation stories are written in such a way that analogously they are, and metaphorically they sound that way. But when you play them out in here and in the psyche, translate the analogous terms off, what we see in a creation story is at first there's a void. That's us at birth. We're nothing. Then we learn about cycles and about how trees grow from their seeds and that they carry their own seeds, and that these are analogous terms letting us know that as life unfolds, that everything that plays out up here, that this is the garden, and the seeds and what grows out of here, what manifests out of here is based on the nature of what is put inside of them. All of these begin to emerge across the board if you play them out in the psyche and strip off the analogs and There's only a few places to put them. You've got a higher being, a conscious, subconscious, all of the memories and the emotional states with them, and the field that we flow in, right there. The entire story fits there, nowhere else, and it maintains a hierarchy. That's when it emerges as, oh, this is about where I come from. The hero's journey picks up right after creation. Creation is telling us two things. Number one, here's how you came about. You emerged as an empty slate minus a few, we've got some wired-in things at birth that's going to make us different in many ways. But by and large, the quality of our life experiences, and whether we're happy or mad or angry or whatever, is going to be based on the way we're going to begin accumulating life experiences and storing them away with their emotional state undealt with. Most of us live that way, and that is what we become. And as the stories go on and you see a sin happen, and then you see the progression of family emerging from that. Those are analogous terms for as time goes on, it gets bigger and bigger. There's more. It's fruitful and multiplying, whatever it is. Fruits or thistles. After all of that early stuff continues to multiply, eventually our entire world is overrun by so much raucousness that now we have this metaphorical flood, because what does a flood do in a nasty floodplain where, dead animal carcasses and stuff have been accumulating for the last year? A flood comes through, wipes it all out. That's a perfect analog for what I want to do to rebirth my own self. It didn't happen historically at all. That's ridiculous. But the story has something that is interactive in it. It's about me. It's about washing out my world, my rebirth. They all work the same way in a cyclical manner. But the hero's journey picks up for the person who decides, I'm going to get out of that mess. The creation happens to everyone. However, not everybody gets out of the pattern. The hero's journey picks up at the point where a person says, elect and righteous. I'm the rare person who wants the truth. I'm turning inward. There's the selection process, and it's carried in stories, put in rivers or, something like that. Not all stories carry that, but there is a creation, I'm going to say, that appears before the hero's journey. And what I want to do is lay out a basic idea of what I'm coming up with, of what this entire pattern is. But I'll tell you this, it's based on, think of this. I am born. You are born. Think of it for yourself. I am born. At first, I am this infant that is empty, other than what my characteristics are hidden away that are going to emerge later. Drives and things like that. Personality types, different things like that. But you could take me at that point in time and put me in a home that's very caring, nurturing, and loving. You can put me in a home that is abusive and angry and neglectful, and I'm going to become a product of that experience. What is also going to happen is that based on those experiences, there is going to become a continual cyclical reoccurrence of things that are not dealt with, as well as, if we look back on it in life, we will see that it has also gotten bigger and bigger over time. So it has grown. So we've got this cyclical monster that we realize is coming out. But you continue to say, why are people like this? When you finally are the person that goes, oh, we're all doing this. How do I get out of it? That is when you become the chosen person. However, most people don't ever do that. From there on, they maintain creation. The hero's journey story picks up there. So then what happens is, let's cover the hero's journey, actually. Let's start with Joseph Campbell's. I'll go through it very quickly, and then I'll put up what I'm working on as far as an updated modification that plays out into the psyche with very interactive terms that are no longer cryptic or nebulous. So, all right, here's Joseph Campbell's 17th step. Okay, as we take a look at Joseph Campbell's template, the 17-step template he's got, and it's in 3 parts here, and it starts out with a call to adventure. This is where it would pick up if we were the individual saying, whew, I'm done with my life. This is where we see that the creation does not exist. However, there's going to be parts in here that belong ahead of the call to adventure. There's a refusal of the call. Supernatural aid. Supernatural aid is going to come about after the call. The crossing of the first threshold, and then belly of the whale. The road of trials. Road of trials is going to happen both before you get here and to get here. The meeting with the goddess, woman is the temptress, atonement with the Father, apotheosis, that is kind of achieving your status, the ultimate boon, whatever you're after, whatever you're trying to achieve. It might be the golden fleece or the kingdom of heaven within, nirvana. Then we have a refusal of the return, the magic flight, rescue from without, the crossing of the return threshold, masters of the two worlds, and freedom to live. So that is the template then that was being used by a man of 1,000 faces, it appears, all over. We can find this template if we know how to look for it. However, it is very nebulous. Those terms are difficult to work with. As interactive terms, belly of the whale is actually in the subconscious. Crossing of the first threshold is turning inward, which appears in the material in crossing rivers, going through gates, going through some sort of a threshold, going through the narrow gate. All of the material is going to hold that kind of a step right there, that these thresholds have to be gotten over. I'm going to share the screen again here and let you know that I'm working on this. It's not there. I'm still working on this. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. There we go. Okay. Not identified in the Joseph Campbell monomyth is creation. And this is what I find here. That in the beginning, there is a void. There is nothing. There is simply cosmic. We are from the universe. The universe is existing in complete energy form, and we emerge from that. We are not separate from it ever. Anyway, that we are born there, we emerge from there. We are going to have life experiences as we go along, and that we're going to blindly judge those life experiences, not knowing any differently. If we get hurt, we're going to hate, we're going to store it away, we're going to shut up when we're told to, we're going to be ashamed when we've been told to. We're going to start gathering these things up at this point in time. We're going to live from the way we judge those life experiences. We're going to become them. They're going to cyclically emerge throughout our life as we go on. They're going to continue to emerge in the same energy, and we recognize them by the nature of their emotional quality. This is where we see the trees emerging with seeds in the fruit, and the fruit is in the seed. This is letting us know that from our garden, or from the manifestation of our life experiences, that what comes from us exists of the nature of what is stored inside. These are all setting up for how we're going to exist in life. As time passes by, it's going to grow and intensify. Unchecked, that our life starts out from happy kid. Yeah, I might have a problem here or two eventually, but it grows, and by the time I'm an adult, I'm screaming and yelling, and I've lost control. This is what has happened. And most of us will live our life like this till the end of our life. That's not in there. But I can infer it, because what there is where Joseph Campbell's picks up. Elect. Not many will choose this inner path. Righteous. Those are the people that only want demonstrable truth. We're not looking for supernatural. Calling exists, and it may be denied at first, I guess. I don't know. In the story, that's there, but realistically for us, the calling exists when we have had it. The calling is a personal choice. We may and usually do have cyclical problems. I put that there, but actually that doesn't belong there. That belongs in creation. So we have to have creation there, because the cyclical problems are going to be happening all the time to everybody. The cyclical problems are probably one of the reasons why we've decided we're going to go on the journey to begin with. So that one, the cyclical problem ones, belongs before the calling. It's going to be difficult to move on from it. It always will. Think about it. Think of your past. Maybe you're living someplace where you're going to outgrow. Relationships that you're going to outgrow. Habits that you can't leave behind. Things that you have been conditioned with all your life that they're your go-to. You're raised sometimes always being snapped at and smacked. What? Shut up! And later on in life, that's your go-to, and you don't want to. It's going to be difficult to face those things. You're going to have to realize, my God, I was wired this way. Holy, ooh, geez, you got to work on it. All right. The mental tools, that's it right here. The supernatural aid appears in certain kind of stories, not all of them. But there is no supernatural aid. But what there is these stories are containing elements that are interactive that help us to go in and look at the things that we don't want to look at in our mind. And that's what the supernatural aid is to me, is how to use this material, how to negotiate your psyche with the material. You're going to have to turn into your mind, into your perceptions and your memories. It goes inside. All right, what I'd like to do now is just kind of go through these without identifying them. I don't want to try to force a label on them yet. I can't quite see the best way to do them, and I don't think that they're exactly right. But let's just talk about what there are here in Joseph Campbell's The Road of Trials. Let's just say it's always going to be difficult. The meeting with the goddess. The goddess, boy, the goddess is probably your... In many stories, yeah, there is some kind of a female you hook up with and come back with. This is going to be represented in some stories as you have a subconscious, and the subconscious is the goddess, but the subconscious holds or has offspring that are bad characteristics. The meeting with the goddess is it's kind of like a marriage. This is your conscious reconnecting with your subconscious now that you're turned inward. In Jesus' teachings, there's this idea that there needs to be a marriage in the bride chamber once everything else is out of the way. And that alludes to this right here, where we started out in life, we were happy, and then at some point we've accumulated things that make us not happy. Not only that, sometimes we act out and we go, oh my God, why am I doing that? There's something happening that you're not even in control of inside of you. So there's a variety of ways from antiquity in carrying that idea of trying to reconnect the conscious and the subconscious, have a marriage. They've been divorced and now we want a marriage. Analogous terms for we don't want that separation to exist within us. We want our conscious and our subconscious to be acting in concert. When we're not paying attention, we just want good stuff coming out. Woman is the temptress. That is also a difficult one. Woman comes across as a temptress, but woman really has been conditioned by the conscious. Woman is the subconscious. So what we're looking at here is this is the place where we are facing our issues. We realize that what we have in here is let's put a face to it. I got molested. I'm ashamed. I hate that. I'm never going to tell anybody. Right there. That is something that is put away, that is an issue. It's a problem. It is a problem for my life. I can't look at it as if that's not mine. I didn't do that. Because it is yours. Whether you did it or not, it's yours now. It's causing our life hurt. So we have to look at these things. Atonement with the Father. That one is reconnecting. This is part of the training material, reconnecting with your higher self. In this area, when we're looking at these things, the higher self is the part of you that can look at things without the emotional attachment to them. You can step outside yourself and look at yourself from a detached perspective and realize you are one in a sea of millions. Instead of being this one little thing down here and everything revolves around you, you begin to see that, oh, I'm just one of a bunch. You begin to look at things in a way. This is the Father. This is the higher self. This is the God in some cases. Well, anytime there's a God, this is it. And it plays out in a hierarchy. The Father, atonement with the Father, atonement with God. All of that would be the same thing right here. The apotheosis actually happens once. Ultimately, what we have is a memory and the emotional state of that memory put together. That is what is actually residing in there, acting out. If you think about it, yeah, it's mental. Whatever happened, you can't change. You have to change the way you hold the memory. You have to diffuse the energy. The energy right there is what is continuing to act out, however it feels and how big and how strong it gets. And the bigger and stronger it gets, the more it acts out, right? We're trying to interact with that stuff. And this is where the higher self is interacting with it. And that's how you're looking at things here. Okay, then what happens, though, is we get into Actually, I have to go back to Joseph Campbell's version here because that's where I've left the verbiage, not trying to change it. I want to talk about him some more, though. So we've got our ultimate boon there, apotheosis, the ultimate boon. In the stories, the way that looks is you've achieved some kind of a magical something or other that gives you power. And in what we're doing, what we're really accomplishing here is recognizing that that thing that we're holding has to be let go of. We're facing the pain instead of turning away from the pain. We're learning to make friends with what hurts us so it ceases to hurt us instead of turning away from it and hating it so much that it continues to hurt us on the same terms that we hate it. So this is what we're doing in this area right here. The refusal of the return, the magic flight, and the rescue from without. I cannot see those in the stories, but here's what I can see in life. That ultimately, depending on how you take this journey, you may take it from a really bad place, and you're living somewhere that's just not going to be a good place to live. And that as you go through this process, you're going to have to find ways of changing your life situation. And that could be very difficult. How hard is it to just pack up and move, or to go somewhere else, or to get out of a situation? Sometimes we get so interdependent upon that for life that it's like, wow, we give up some maybe some spiritual things or some happiness so you don't go hungry. Depends on how severe that is. Those could be issues. There could be issues. Maybe you're on this path and you are haunted by something you did long ago, and that other person doesn't know. Maybe you, whatever. Think about it. And they're happy with you, but you did something that they don't know about. And the only way for you to feel good is to unweight yourself. How do you do these things? How do you make yourself feel better without hurting the other person, without doing those things? You know, a part of this inclusion, too, is that if you go to Jesus material and you unravel it, there's this point where he's saying that, no physician heals his family and no prophet teaches his village or something like that. There is a point where when you are growing and you are developing and you're thinking, oh, my God, this is so wonderful. You guys are going to like this. And you turn to the left or right and tell people they won't want to hear it. People grow when they're ready to grow. So you're going to get opposition from that as well. That's another component part of what is taught actually in the material. And it is also a visible life experience. I can also tell you, and this is from personal experience, sometimes you have issues with people that you go try to resolve that with, and they tell you, yeah, get out of here. I don't even want to talk to you. I don't ever want to see you again. And there's times where you're not going to work it out with somebody. You're going to have to find a way to make it okay for yourself. Anyway, those are things you have to think of on your own. If you are to resolve your issues, what kind of impact is it going to have on your life and the lives of those around you? It might not be as simple as you think. The crossing of the return threshold, that's just, I'm now done and I'm coming back to the world. That actually, the crossing of the return threshold happened right after the ultimate boon, the refusal to return, magic flight, getting back into the world. There's a little sequence thing I'm kind of questioning there. Master of the two worlds, once you do this, once you get past it, once time goes by, once all of the discomfort is over with and you've resolved it, you know what to do. You know how to go in and negotiate your mind, how to resolve an issue. I got that cycle taken care of, and whew, boy, is that nice. Something else is coming up. What else? This is something that has to be done repetitively. And then freedom to live. That's it. Once you unfetter yourself from these things, then you have freedom to live. Anyway, okay, that is where I am with it right now. You can see it still has room to grow, but I want to keep putting out the new things. That creation, that's important. Yeah, I didn't see that to begin with. So at the top of Jewish teachings, creation, then it branches out. The Mahabharata, Hinduism, it starts out at creation and branches out in the template. It does the same thing in Greek myth. Starts out with different versions of creation and how it works, and it branches out from there. The creations are at the top. They're not at the top. They're not at the beginning of each one of the monomyths. In my mind, I picture a seed, and then things grow up from it, but down below, roots. And from that seed is creation, and then down below it, things just continue to branch out. And that all of the branching parts are the monomyth, and that the the creation happens at the very top of each one of them. If you go upstream far enough from whatever the teaching is, you will find that it emerges from a creation story. I'm still working on it. It's too big. All right. Hope this was fun. Love one another, and I'll see you in the next video.